wonderful. Ah, high school days. You spend 4 years hating it, but then the world slaps you upside your head and you want nothing more than to go back to those halcyon days of youth, back when the most you had to dread was phys ed or public speaking. Now we've gotten that out of our system. On the subject at hand, I hadn't been here in the West Virginia hills for most of my childhood. That bit from K through 5 was spent in the lovely Southern California desert. I loved it and missed it terribly, but those tales will come eventually later on. The event in question here is about the new boarded up AV room at the old Spencer High School, which is now our middle school. I had heard some whisperings among my fellow 8th graders about the supposed suicide that occurred way back in the late 60s or early 70s. It was about a student who, after failure upon failure, the loss of her friends, and the last straw that broke the camel's back, her boyfriend dumped her like last year's garbage. So in a fit of despondency, she climbed the ladder to the AV room, which was never locked for some reason, settled herself on the hatch so as not to be disturbed, and calmly slit her wrists. The hatch closed in a way that there was no blood to be seen dripping from up above the ladder, sort of like a cap or a box lid. So, inevitably, her body wasn't found until the office staff began receiving complaints about the smell, like a dead cat or something had gotten into the walls and died. Well, the custodial staff was told to see what it was and clean said pungent mess up. They tracked the smell to the entryway to the auditorium, more specifically the AV room, which means audio video, in case you didn't know. Where am I at? They took turns climbing up and trying to open the hatch, but as she died sitting on it, the hatch wouldn't budge. So the volunteer fire squad was called, and using a taller ladder, they broke a window pane, and those that were closest to the window saw that the student's decomposed body slumped on the hatch, and 2 of them immediately vomited over the side of the ladder and had to be removed from the scene. You can imagine how horrific it was, and the student, let's call her Natalie to make the telling easier, eventually they got a canvas tarp, no fancy body bags back then, and using a lift cage lowered her badly decomposed body down from the room. This is the story as told to my 13-year-old self the school year before I began high school. Of course, after discovering the note she left before she did the deed, they were dumbfounded as they read, "My life is shit, but maybe I can be of help in the next world. Signed, Natalie." They couldn't fathom what the strange note could mean, but due to the note's contents leaking to the other students, they took it to mean that if they wrote a note to Natalie, opened the hatch and slipped it through, Natalie would take it from your hand and subsequently grant whatever wish was written on the note. But never open the hatch wide enough to see her, or you would be struck immobile by the horrid sight of her wet, sloppy, decomposed face, fall off the ladder, and if you didn't die right away, you would join her within the next week. I, of course, thought they were trying to prank me. You know how mean teenage peers can be. So at the end of orientation night, I jotted my note, "Please let this ordeal called school pass quickly so I can get the hell out of this place." Nice note. Now, I correctly assumed that one of the girls would be up there and snatch the note from my hand, scaring the shit out of me, of course, and in the event I should fall off the ladder, their other girls would catch me. As I neared the top of the ladder and started easing the hatch up, I heard whispers from below, from the girls asking, "Why aren't you up there? Now it's all ruined." I had just slid one end of the note through the opening, expecting to shout, "Ha! Bitches, I knew this was bullshit." The note was grasped and gently pulled from my hand. Although startled, I still figured they had planted someone else up there, and I'm like, ha ha, y'all are really fucking funny. Who's really up there? They stared up at me in horror as Ronnie, the pack leader, said, we didn't send anyone else up there. Amy here was the only one brave enough to go up there, but she forgot the time and was in the girls' room down the hall till just now. I shit you not. Right, I said, and made ready to shove the hatch up and catch their other accomplice. There was some resistance at first, then it was like a loose bag of baseballs or something rolled off the side of it, and then I froze in place. I was staring into the horribly decomposed face of the teenage girl, Natalie. I mean, nobody could have faked with makeup the horrid visage, almost nose to nose with me. To give myself a bit of credit, I didn't fall. I was frozen in fear. As quickly as her face appeared, it was gone, and I could hear crying from further in the room. And I thought I heard, very softly, not another, please, no more. That was 7 days ago tonight. I have felt the draw of the room for days. Just a little preparation, and I will be ready. The note is written, and by the time Dad misses his pistol, I will be with Natalie forever.